Our general philosophy as owners of long-term real estate is first and foremost that we're long-term owners. And as we acquire an asset, we're very thoughtful about what we're buying and to make sure it has long-term durability and appropriateness in the market that it's in. We have to be thinking about how do we make sure the asset remains relevant to the changing real estate markets. But we also have to be sort of thinking through our customers and thinking about their customers. So we need to be providing a dynamic environment, place in the community that people are going to want to go and gather and transact their business at. We want to be thoughtful that our tenant mix is synergistic, because the success of one tenant should feed the success of the next tenant next door. So it's really being thoughtful and curating an appropriate tenant mix that really delivers a great real estate asset. A great example of reinvesting and being thoughtful in the long-term ownership of a commercial real estate asset is a shopping center that we own outside of Washington, D.C. It's called Dillingham Square. We bought that center as part of a portfolio of centers that we bought in March of 1998. And at the time that we bought it, the asset was a little bit neglected and was underperforming the market. One of the big challenges for the center was that it had a third-tier grocery store located in the property. And a third-tier grocery store doesn't drive the types of traffic that all the other tenants are relying upon. It doesn't create a dynamic environment. So we immediately went about negotiating with the grocer to buy back the store. We were successful in doing that, and at the same time negotiated a lease to bring a first-tier grocer into the center. And that made the world of difference. Now we have a grocery store that really speaks and delivers a great product into the local community. We had a great tenant mix. The property was doing much better because it was delivering back to the marketplace what the local community members wanted and needed in the center. The Great Recession was a difficult environment on most commercial real estate in this country, and unfortunately Dillingham was no exception to that. It weathered the storm reasonably well, but it still took a few hits. But really what was also happening at the time was the center was becoming somewhat dated. At that point it was 20 years old. Well, it had operated well when the market was great. It was time for us as long-term owners to figure out what do we really need to do to update this property and to reintroduce it back into the community, almost as if it was a brand new development. And that's the process that we went through. We invested a significant amount of money into this asset, almost $6 million of renovation costs. It was a long, lengthy process. Most of the work and the time was spent on the front end, here in our office, looking at the asset and trying to figure out how exactly do we want to go ahead, renovate, and reposition the property back into the marketplace.
The community had evolved over time, and many of the master planned communities and larger home tracts had employed a more colonial style architecture. Our architect had driven through the community, taken photos of representative homes throughout the community, and we thought that there would be an opportunity to add some components to our shopping center that made it more consistent with the local community. Objective 1 was to improve the architectural consistency. Objective 2 was to create a softer, more inviting environment within the shopping center. And we thought that improving our landscaping would be the single thing that we could do to best achieve that objective. In addition, we added signage throughout the property for wayfinding, be it within the property, and also pylon signage along the street fronts.
The last thing that we did is we looked at sort of the behind-the-scenes nuts and bolts operational aspects of the center. The things that aren't necessarily visible to the consumer, to the shopper that comes in, but makes a big difference to our tenants. Primarily having to do with the heating and the cooling that happens within the spaces. Also to make sure we have brand new state-of-the-art roofs on the buildings to improve the operating efficiencies of the properties, and also some back of the property type cleanup to help smooth out delivery and access issues with the property.
The community in Lake Ridge, Virginia, the submarket of Woodbridge in which our property resides, is very involved, not only in patronizing the merchants that do business within their community, but they're very involved in how their community is constructed, how it's put together, how it looks, and as a result, we met with quite a number of different community groups. We met with elected officials, we met with the staff of Prince William County, all of whom were very interested in what we were doing, and we were very gratified that after preparing visual materials and making our numerous presentations that we received near unanimous support for the objectives that we had proposed. Construction was completed in early October 2013, in plenty of time for the trick-or-treat event. And more than 800 parents, children, and community leaders joined us at Dillingham Square to celebrate Halloween and celebrate the completion of what was effectively a new shopping center.
There's a lot of analysis, there's a lot of time and effort spent poring over the details on paper. You have this idea in your head of what this will turn out to be, but you never really know until you see the finished project. And we couldn't have been happier with the way that the asset turned out, that the renovation turned out, the way that the property reads from the street and also from the sidewalk as you walk it. And we felt really good as soon as construction was done that we had delivered a great project back into the marketplace. But the real proof isn't how it looks. The real proof is how well is it leased and how are the tenant sales and how many people are coming to the project, coming to the center and walking the sidewalks and eating at the restaurants, shopping at the stores and buying their groceries. By all accounts, it's been a great success. Our occupancy went back from 88% back to 97% right now, and we're still negotiating new leases. And this is a big project. So to be at 97% occupied for a big project like this with as many shop spaces is a great victory. But more than that, the feedback that we get from our tenants has been really positive. Everybody uniformly has been very pleased with what the finished project has turned out to be. They feel good about being there, and they feel good about being there because their customers like it. And that's really, at the end of the day, how well is it accepted by the community, and is it a place that people are back walking, shopping, spending their time at? And it's been a great success.